Welcome to our series for K-2 families about standards-based grading. So there are lots of questions we get regarding standards-based grading for our K-2 students, the most common being, what is standards-based grading? So when we think of the word or the phrase standards-based grading, the word grading we're all familiar with. We went through school and we had work that was graded as students, right? Whether it was performance-based or some type of test, whatever that artifact of learning was, we're used to then receiving some type of grade or mark from the teacher, whether that's an ABCD, a numeric grade, an 80, a 90, or a check minus, whatever the case may be. We're used to receiving grades. But when we think about standards-based grading, the word standards-based is where some of the confusion may lie. So let's start with the word standards. Standards are short, concise phrases or statements that define the knowledge and skills a student is expected to learn for a particular grade level by end of year. In North Carolina, our standards are a part of the North Carolina Standard Course of Study and are developed by the North Carolina Department of Public Instruction. And so as we think about what is standards-based grading and how is it different perhaps than what we experienced as students, standards-based grading may look different from district to district, but when we think about standards-based grading, grades are connected to individual standards. And so typically on a traditional report card, you'll see listed all of the different subject areas, but then over for each quarter, you'll see an overall average, which gives a general indication of how well that student is doing for that particular subject area. However, it doesn't necessarily tell us what concepts or skills we've mastered or where we need more growth. On a standards-based report card, you will still see each content area listed. However, you'll notice there's much more information. There is no overall score for each particular subject area. Instead, what you will notice is for each subject area, there is a list of standards that were assessed for this particular learning period or this particular quarter. Each standard indicates the concept or skill that a student is expected to acquire. And to the right, you'll see their score. You may notice that this score or this grade looks a little different than perhaps the grades you received when you were in school. When we think of standards-based grading, the grading scale is quite different. So for 312, our students utilize 100-point scales and letter grades such as A, B, C, D, or F. And that's all outlined in our board policy for Winston-Salem Forsyth County Schools. But K-2 students follow a different scale. It's a 1 to 4 scale, and each number indicates a level of mastery for that particular standard. So when you see a level 4, that's student exceeding the grade level expectations. A level 3 is meets grade level expectations. A level 2 is making progress towards, and a level 1 does not meet. In summary, standards-based grading does differ slightly from the traditional grading system that we are perhaps used to. Grades are assigned to individual standards as opposed to individual assignments or tests or other learning activities being averaged together for an overall score for each subject area. The grade scale is also different for standards-based grading. We utilize a 1 to 4 scale as opposed to a 100-point scale for our 312 students. And so there are some benefits when we think about standards-based grading, and one of those being that it clearly communicates to teachers, parents, and students what a student's strengths and weaknesses are so that we can provide instruction that meets the learning needs of that particular student.